In the grim darkness of the far future, explosive rounds whiz through the air, chainsaws rev hungrily, and armored feet hammer against the broken ground. The indomitable angels of death wage unrelenting war, and in this box set, those are the Blood Ravens. Hello there! In this video, I'm going to show you how to paint the Blood Ravens from this Warhammer 40,000 beginner set using our fantastic paints. The paints I'll be using are on screen now. You can also find the paint list in the description below. We also have a list of the additional equipment we've used, but you can use whatever brushes you feel most comfortable with. If you're new to painting or want to brush up on your skills, you can check out our Get Started page to learn all about our paints and techniques. Before we get painting, we first need to build our models. Building them is super simple, and we can use the guide that comes in the box to help us. You'll notice that your miniatures come connected to the sprue. You'll need a pair of hobby clippers to help you to gently clip them off at the connection points. Make sure to put the flat side of your clippers against your model to help prevent any unwanted damage to the model. There's no need for any glue. Simply line up the correct pieces and carefully push them together. You should have these built in no time at all, and then we can crack on with painting. For this video, I'm going to paint one of the Blade Guard veterans as they have the most colors on them. But you can follow all the same steps to paint all the other models too. There are a few bits of equipment I'm going to need before I can get started. These include a water pot, paintbrushes, servo skull palette, paper towel, texture tool, tufts, and of course, the paints that I'm using. Right, with all that said, let's get painting. The first step is doing an undercoat. I'll be using my pot of Khorne Red base paint to do this. Don't worry if you haven't heard of undercoating before, it's really simple. This is where you apply a paint to the whole model, and this then acts as a foundation for our other paints to stick to. It's normal for the paint to settle and separate in the pot over time, so give it a good shake until it's a smooth, even color. While you're shaking, be sure to hold your finger or thumb over the lid to prevent it from opening accidentally. Then push the lid until it clicks into the tab at the back to help keep the pot open while in use. Wet your brush with a little bit of water, wipe any excess away on a paper towel so it's damp but not sodden, and load the bristles with a little bit of paint from the reservoir inside the lid. Take care not to get paint all the way up to the metal at the end of the brush, which is called the ferrule, as this can damage the brush as it dries. Just about halfway up the bristles is fine. Put the paint onto your palette to control how much is on your brush, and then we can start applying it to our model. You can be really messy at this stage. Just make sure you get Khorne Red into every little nook and cranny and flat surface. You'll notice that the first coat might seem to struggle to stick to the plastic. Don't worry, just keep going and cover as much as you can. Once the first coat is dry, apply a second coat in the exact same way. You'll find that the coverage of the paint is much better this time around. And when that's dry, apply a third coat if you think you need to. The end result should look something like this, with the model covered evenly in red. Well done, you've just undercoated your first model, and now your Blood Raven is well on his way to being painted. Alright, with the model fully undercoated, I'm going to move on to the next step. This is where I'm going to start to base coat. Base coating is what we call it when we're blocking in all the main colors of our model. The paints I'm using for this are known as base paints, and they normally are a bit more pigmented than usual, and this allows me to cover over the details a lot easier. For my first paint, I'll be using Abaddon Black, a base paint, applying a little bit of water to help it flow off the brush, and then picking out the gun casing, ribbing, between the armor panels, leather details, and the armor trim. If you do make a mistake here, just tidy back up with the previous colors. And there we go. With the Abaddon Black applied, we've done our first base coat. Now to move on to the next one. I'm now going to paint all of the details that I want to be bone colored. For this, I'll be using Wraithbone. So I'm going to pick out the inside of the shield, the shoulder pads, and the helmet. Just as before, I'll be as careful as I can be when picking out these details. If I make a mistake, I'll just tidy back up with the previous colors. With that done, we can move on to adding some metallics. I'm now going to paint all of the details that I want to be gold. For this, I'll be using Retributor Armour, which is a metallic base paint. So I'm going to pick out the Aquila on the chest, any trinkets I can find, as well as the detail on top of his backpack, which is called an iron halo. Just as before, I'll be as careful as I can be when picking these out. If I make a mistake, I'll just tidy back up with the previous colors. With the gold done, I'm going to move on to doing the silver details next. Okay, I'm using lead belcher next, and I'm looking to paint the working metal areas of the gun, sword, and any other little rivets and working metal areas on the rest of the armor. Just take a bit of extra care with these details and try to be as neat as you can. I'm mixing lead belcher with a little bit of water, which will help it flow smoothly off my brush so I can control it nicely. You don't have to do this if it's already working well for you. It's completely up to you. This is called thinning your paint, and if you want to know more about it, we've got a video you can watch here. Once you finish picking out these details, I would advise changing the water in your water pot. This is because it will be full of small metallic flakes, and we don't want any of these getting into the rest of our paints. Okay, our metallic details are done. Now to pick out the rest of the base coats. Next up are the lenses, wax seals, and any piping that I can find. We'll be using Warflesh for this, which is a lovely green color. Don't worry if you don't feel up to painting the lenses. This can be quite delicate, but remember that you always have the option of going back to your previous colors to fix any mistakes. With that done, the base coating stage is completed. Brilliant. I'm going to move on to darkening all the recesses next. For this, I'll be using Agrax Earthshade over the entire miniature. The paint is different to the others because it is a shade paint. Shade paints are very thin and are designed to slightly tint flat surfaces of the miniature while settling into the recesses. You'll notice how this creates depth on the miniature by darkening down those recessed areas. Applying a shade is a quick and easy way to really take your paint job up a notch. We won't need to add any water to this paint, just take it straight from the pot, making sure there isn't too much on your brush. Agrax Earthshade works over many different base coats, so we can apply it over the whole model, even the base. When you're doing an all-over shade like this, work in small sections. We do this because it gives us enough time to fix any areas where we might have applied too much paint. You'll know when you've applied too much paint because you'll see the paint pooling in recesses and on larger flat surfaces, thus clogging up the awesome details of your model. Don't worry though, fixing it is really easy. Just dry off your brush and soak up the excess paint with your dry bristles. Once the entire model has had Agrax Earthshade all over it, let it stand and dry for around 30 minutes. Okay, with that done, you can leave your model there, or you can follow these next optional stages I'm going to show you. I'm going to move on to doing an optional highlight. For this, I'm using Evil Sun Scarlet layer paint and a small dry brush to highlight the power armor. Layer paints are paints that have slightly less pigment in them that are specifically designed to layer over base paint for highlighting your models. Dry brushing is a great technique that allows you to quickly brighten the raised areas of your miniature and make your models stand out. Okay, let's grab our dry brush and dip the bristles into the reservoir in the lid. We just need enough to cover the tips of the hairs like so. To prepare the dry brush, take the paper towel and start removing the moisture from the paint by rubbing it in circular motions into the paper. Just be gentle when doing this so that there's still paint on the brush and the paper doesn't rip. As this motion gently removes the moisture, you can see a trail of paint becoming more faint, which means the brush is ready to use. Now, all we're going to do is gently brush over the top of the edges and details like so. Look at how it catches all of those raised details without getting the paint into the recesses. It's already starting to bring the miniature to life. The motion I've just used is called circular, but you can also use a directional motion. Directional dry brushing uses back and forth movements to catch long and flatter edges with ease. Just look at how the Evil Sun Scarlet paint is catching those armor edges and not totally covering all of our previous paints. Circular dry brushing helps with more organic or rounded details, allowing more of the color to cover those details. Fur and skin really benefit from this type of dry brushing. On my Space Marine here, it works really well for the backpack. And there we go, with that done, my dry brush highlight looks great. Layer paints are very versatile, which means that they are fantastic for all sorts of different applications, and dry brush highlighting is no exception. Okay, I'll now move on to adding some optional adornment to the bases. First up is texture paint. I'll be applying some astrogranite to the base using my trusty texture tool. The large end is great for scooping the texture onto the base itself, and the small end is great for maneuvering it around the model's feet. If you want to know more about texture paints, we have a video all about it. Next up, I'll be adding some tufts here and there on the base. Tufts are a fantastic way of adding detail to your bases, and they are super easy to use. They come with a little bit of sticky residue on the underside of them. So all I have to do is place them where I want them on the base and then use my texture tool to press them down into position. Just as a finisher, you can paint the base room as well. You can choose any color of this really, it's completely up to you. I'm going to pick Abaddon Black because I think it frames the miniature nicely on the gaming table. Congratulations, you've painted your first Space Marine of the Blood Ravens. You can follow these exact steps for the rest of the models in the box. We've had a lot of fun with this video and we hope that it's given you the inspiration to get your own miniatures painted. Well, that's all from me. To find out more about our fantastic paints, you can head over to citadelcolor.com. You can also find more tutorials using our paints on our YouTube channel. And if you need more help, you can head into one of your local Warhammer stores where our friendly staff will be more than happy to help. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this video and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.